Hi, my name is Teixeira, Certified Master Baker. Welcome to CMB Study Hall. We're making croissants today. So we are at the process where we've laminated it completely. We've let the dough sit overnight. So we're going to begin sheeting it. So I've dusted the bottom with a little bit of flour, not too much. You don't want to incorporate flour at this point. Any addition to it, you're going to dry out the croissants. A little dusting on top. Again, a thin film. We're not trying to cover it completely with flour to incorporate more, just trying to get it through the sheeter. Starting at the higher setting, you're going to go left and right until you get to your desired thickness that we're looking for. In the process, when I first started sheeting it, the bind of the spine of the book is what's facing in the entire time until we're about to rotate it. So at this point, I try to get a little bit smaller than the rolling pin. That's a good determination of a time that it's good to rotate it. So you're going to want to, again, potentially flour if it's sticking. You're going to want to rotate it away from you, so now the spine is facing away from you. The same premise that you would have done when you were laminating it, keeping the spine going in first and then the spine going away from you. A little more flour on it, and now you're going to bring it down to your desired thickness that you're looking for to shape your croissants. So you're looking for about approximately 3/16 of an inch, nothing too thin, nothing too thick. Again, we're looking for at this point to be consistent so that when we're rolling and shaping that all the croissants are uniform. So now we're going to begin cutting the croissants. So I transferred it from the sheeter, lightly floured the surface. At this point you want to work somewhat quickly so the dough doesn't get too soft. And I think the best practice is always, when you're going to cut croissants, is always flouring the rolling or the cutting apparatus you're using. Just creates clean cuts and also prevents the dough layers from sticking throughout the process. So we're going to go 3 inches on the croissants, 3 inches wide. So I'm just squaring up one short edge and then one long edge. Now we're going to mark it slightly. And now at this point as well, up here, what I'm going to do is square off the top. And now I'm going to go in the middle of this one. So I did 3 inches here. I'm going to start up here and I'm going to do 1.5 inches. And that's going to give us our point. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go from the corner of the bottom to the point that we've created, which is the middle point for this croissant. Then I'm going to take that point and I'm going to go to the other point here so we get a triangle out of it. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and forth like that, and now we should have triangles. The key about the laminated product is that they're all consistent. There will be a desired weight in the end that you have, that you're looking to achieve. So this portion is crucial that you get them all to be fairly close in size. Again, working quickly. Do not want the dough to warm up. If the dough starts to warm up, you'll end up with issues where the butter layers are starting to seal together, which will prevent a honeycomb in the end, in the final product. So now that we've cut the croissants, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little slit here in the middle. And this allows us to get a nice crescent shape. We're going to take the points, we're going to go to the ends with that, and we're going to roll. Now, the process of rolling, you're not trying to make it so tight that the product has no room to grow. The more you tighten it during this process, if you over tighten it, you're going to end up with very large cavities and not a very nice honeycomb because there's nowhere for the steam to go. It's just a gentle roll up. Again, not trying to roll it too tight. And we're just going to open. The points go to the edges of the croissant, and we're going to just roll. Just roll. I'm not creating too much tension. I'm just letting the dough kind of fall on itself. Again, we're not trying to damage any of the layers at this process. Just rolling. Try to keep it uniform. You can egg wash or un-egg wash at this point if you're concerned that your croissant's going to overroll or unroll as it's proofing. The only time that would happen would be if you've rolled it too tight or if you've overworked your dough initially. Then you can have a tendency of them unrolling. But if you've mixed the dough properly and laminating and letting it relax, your croissants should not unroll, and if you're not rolling them too tight. Also important is when you're shaping them and placing them on the sheet tray, having them all facing the same way. If you notice, all the points are they're all upwards. So the croissant, this one isn't like this and this one isn't like that. They're all facing the same way. They all have an even amount of rolls in them. Keeping it consistent and uniform. That's what the judges are going to be looking for, the evaluators on the practical exam, is can you make all the products look the same? Are they all the same weight? If for some reason the room is so hot or the dough gets unbearably soft, I would recommend after they're cut, placing them in the fridge, allowing them to firm up slightly. You don't want them to get too firm because when you go to roll it, they're going to crack. But if the room is very warm or you're finding that the dough is very soft, I would recommend just throwing the cut pieces into the fridge quickly. So the process of egg washing, in the egg wash that I use, I don't like to use milk. I like to use, for every egg I use 1 egg yolk, and then I add a pinch of salt. It denatures the protein in the eggs a little bit. And so when we're egg washing before we go in the proofer, we're not trying to sop the croissant up. We're just trying to put a light coating on it. This will prevent a skin from forming, allow proper rise in the product. We are going in a proofer that has, it'll be predetermined by the evaluators for the CMB exam. So depending on what they have it set at, it'll be between 76 to 85. That's generally good. The more people that are going in and out of it, the temperature will fluctuate, as will the humidity. So this is just a fail-safe for everyone going in and out of the proofer. It'll allow us, in case someone's going in and out, you won't have dry croissants, preventing them getting a skin, preventing them from getting a rise. Also notice that when I'm doing this egg wash, I'm not trying to get any on the tray. The more egg wash that ends up on the tray, the more you potentially end up with scrambled eggs at the bottom of your sheet tray. So if I flip over the croissant once it's baked and I see some scrambled eggs, that was an over egg washing. All right, so we're going in the proofer here. All right, so here we have the croissants that have proofed. Couple of ways to point out the proper proofness. If you give the sheet tray a little shake, you'll see that they all kind of jiggle, like Jell-O in essence, if that's the best analogy I can give it. Also, if you can see pretty close, you can actually see the air gas and the layers and the striation of the lamination through the process. As they've proofed, you can start to see the layers separating slightly. That's a good indication that they're ready to go in the oven. They're not flat. They've almost doubled in size is a good indication. Remember, you're going to get an oven spring when you go in the oven. So these are not the final size that we have. But again, nothing is tearing. We didn't pull too hard when we were rolling it. They're all the same size. They're all the same volume. Nothing is smaller than the other one. So the lamination process was good. The rolling process was good. So we're going to do a final egg wash on this before we put in the oven. You can go into either a convection oven or a deck oven. You may need to double tray the oven in the deck so the bottom doesn't get too dark, and you can determine that. What I like to do is put it in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then maybe take a look at the bottom to see if we need to double pan it. You don't want the bottoms to get too dark. I will hit this with steam in the oven. I think that it allows for a little bit of expansion, allows for time for the croissant to grow and for moisture to evaporate. So I will hit the oven with a little bit of steam. Again, when I'm egg washing, I'm not trying to hit the sheet tray, not trying to get scrambled eggs on the bottom of the croissant. Being gentle at this point is very important. You don't want to degas any of the croissant. So making sure, at this point, being gentle with the product, using a good brush, nothing too abrasive. You can always use a spray bottle if you'd like to egg wash it on top. All right, so we're gonna head over to the oven. So again, either deck or convection. We're using deck today. So we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna go into the middle of the oven since I have the ability to use the middle of the oven. I'm gonna close it. We are gonna hit it with steam. So I am gonna steam it. And I'm gonna put it in there for about 8 minutes. At that point, I'll determine if I need to double pan it or not.